Okay, folks, I think we're going to get started here. My name is Andrew Feldman with Feldman Strategies. I know you've heard a lot from our team over recent days. Thank you for joining the Equal Ground and Partners press conference here before they head to the Capitol in Tallahassee tomorrow. Just want to quickly go over some ground rules. Everything here is on the record. I'm going to turn it over to Genesis Robinson, the executive director of Equal Ground, to kick things off. We'll then hear from some other speakers on the call, and at the end, we'll open it up for a quick Q&A. We are recording this meeting press conference, so we will get that recording around to folks after this. And if you need permissions to record yourself, please request it and we will give you access. But with that, Genesis Robinson, Executive Director of Equal Ground, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Not yet.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, great. I'm gonna just mute Jacob here, but then I'll turn it over to you. You're good to go, Genesis.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Andrew. Good morning to everyone, and thank you for joining us for this virtual press conference as we kick off the 2025 Equal Ground Day at the Capitol. My name is Genesis Robinson, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director for Equal Ground Education Fund, as well as Equal Ground Action Fund. We are a Black-led social justice and voting rights organization working to increase civic engagement and build political power in Black communities throughout the entire state of Florida. Today is the start of the most powerful and purposeful event of the year, Equal Ground Day at the Capitol. Over the next 2 days, we will bring hundreds of Black leaders, activists, students, faith leaders, and everyday Floridians to the state capitol in Tallahassee to engage directly with lawmakers and advocate for the issues that matter most to our communities. I would like to thank our partners for helping make this day possible: the Florida State Conference of the NAACP, Real Women Radio, Northwest Panhandle Coalition for Civic Engagement, Poder Latinx, Keeping a Dream Alive Incorporated, the Florida Coalition of Black Civic Participation, and the St. Pete branch of the NAACP. Equal Ground Day at the Capitol was born out of the core belief that democracy works best when people most impacted by policy are directly involved in shaping it. We know that too often the halls of Tallahassee feel far away from the realities of our communities, and this is how we strive to close that distance. We are living in a defining moment. Our state has become a testing ground for some of the most extreme and dangerous policies, where culture wars have replaced public service, where truth is under siege and our rights are being stripped under the cover of law. These are not abstract policies. These are targeted attacks on our communities, on our culture, on our children, and on our future. The good news is that Equal Ground was built for this moment. For nearly 6 years, we've been doing the work, registering voters, monitoring legislation, educating our communities, and holding our lawmakers accountable. And with the bills making their way through the legislature this session, it is clear that we have our work cut out for us. The threats and harm that we talk about are not hypothetical. They are happening. We have seen a wave of legislation that, if passed, would set our communities back by decades. We've seen bills like Senate Joint Resolution 536, Senate Bill 802, and House Bill 679, which push for term limits, not because communities have asked for them, but because those in power want to limit who can represent us. We've seen bills like Senate Bill 280 and Senate Bill 982, which change candidate qualification requirements, adding a new legal hurdle and cost that can deter everyday people from seeking political office. And one of the clearest threats in this targeted attempt is the attack on the citizen-led ballot initiative process. Florida already has one of the hardest petition processes in the country. It requires nearly 1 million verified signatures reviewed by the Division of Elections and the Supreme Court, and a 60% threshold to pass. Yet, multiple attempts are being made this session to make that process even harder. House Bill 1205, which will be heard tomorrow, Senate Bill 1414, Senate Bill 7016 would impose new restrictions on the petition collection process and the organizations responsible for organizing ballot initiatives. And if we're being honest, we can admit that we know why. It's because the people of Florida has used this process to restore voting rights for returning citizens, expand medical marijuana access, raise the minimum wage, protect our redistricting process, and most recently came within just a few points shy of legalizing recreational marijuana and overturning a 6-week abortion ban. The process isn't broken. It's just working too well for the people. And this backlash is about power. It's about silencing the voices of lawmakers that don't want to hear us. It's about control. But it doesn't stop there. This session, we've seen repeated attempts to attack diversity, equity, and inclusion, also known as DEI. Senate Bill 1710 would ban DEI offices and programs across state agencies and institutions. It would redefine DEI as dangerously narrow, colorblind terms, denying the lived experiences and realities, codifying systematic racism. Senate Bill 420 would block local governments from advancing DEI efforts at all, stripping away communities of the right to govern themselves in pursuit of equity. And Senate Bill 1694 would dismantle Florida's Office of Supplier Diversity and eliminate programs that support minority-owned businesses, people who have already had to fight for every opportunity in an economy that is built to leave them out. These draconian laws are moving despite pro-democracy bills not getting acted on. We have bills like House Bill 727, which would ban the use of taxpayer dollars to influence political campaigns, something our governor knows all too well as he used it to weaponize and defeat amendments that he was against in the past election. Senate Bill 864, which would lower the threshold for passing constitutional amendments from 60% to 50%, not making Florida an outlier as one of the few states that requires such a higher threshold. And then there's bills like Senate Bill 1486, which would ensure that voters who are impacted by hurricanes or disasters can cast their ballots despite living in a state that is so prone to natural disasters. And a bill that is near and dear to our hearts at Equal Ground is the Harry T. and Harriet V. Moore Florida Voting Rights Act, House Bill 1409 and Senate Bill 1582, filed by Senator Tracy Davis and Representative Bracy Davis, would create and expand voter access by protecting democracy and safeguarding the right to access the ballot. This Florida VRA would have several key provisions that would safeguard our democracy. Provisions like preventing vote dilution and discrimination on the basis of race and color or language, expanding language access, making Election Day a holiday, offering same-day voter registration, establishing voter registration, and establishing automatic voter registration and making vote-by-mail requests permanent so that voters do not need to request their ballot every election cycle. It would ensure prepaid vote-by-mail postage throughout the state so that postage is not a barrier to being able to cast your vote. And also, it would create a centralized database for our returning citizens so that they can determine their eligibility without fear of being arrested by the elections police. With our original Senate sponsor of the Florida VRA, the late Senator Geraldine Thompson, no longer being with us because of her untimely death last month, it is our mission to push this legislation across the finish line and not only honor her legacy, but the legacy of those who have come before us and who have sacrificed so much to secure the rights that are being stripped away today. That is why tomorrow we will host a rally in support of the Florida VRA at 10 a.m. on the North Portico on the House side, with our with our original House sponsor, none other than Representative LaVon Bracey Davis, and our new Senate sponsor, Senator Tracy Davis. Our priorities for this session have always been very clear. We will oppose anti-democracy legislation that restricts access to the ballot box and criminalizes participation. We will defend diversity, equity, and inclusion at every level, from classrooms to boardrooms, from local governments to state agencies. And we will push forward with pro-democracy legislation like the Harry T. and Harriet V. Moore Florida Voting Rights Act, because protecting the vote is protecting our future. And so over the next 2 days, hundreds will descend on our state capitol to meet with lawmakers, to share their personal stories, and to demand action. This is not a field trip. This is not an opportunity to visit museums and learn about the complex history of our state. This is about building political power. This is about presence. This is about making sure that our communities are not just talked about, but are centered, respected, and heard in the rooms where decisions are being made. This moment in history necessitates our advocacy. It demands our action, and there is too much at stake for us to remain silent. To those watching from home, for those who are feeling discouraged by what you're seeing in the halls of power, know that we see you, know that we understand, and know that despite these attacks feeling relentless, there is hope. We've been here before. Our history is one of resistance, one of resilience, and one of transformation. Our ancestors fought too hard, they bled too much, and sacrificed everything so that we could have a voice. And it is our obligation, it is our sacred obligation, it is our sacred duty to ensure that we use that voice. And so together we can move mountains and use our collective voices to speak truth to power. Let's get to work. Thank you. So at this time, we will now hear from Mr. Jerry McIntosh. He is a community leader and organizer with the Northwest Panhandle Coalition for Civic Engagement and Movement for Change in the Panhandle region of Florida. Mr. McIntosh, the floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Jerry McIntosh. It's great to be here. I definitely will be in Tallahassee this afternoon to help address some of the issues that Genesis has already addressed. We are an organization that fight for civil rights, movement for change, and along with the Northwest Florida Coalition, we believe that there's an existential threat against the equity and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so we'll be there to make sure that these rights are protected under law. It is too important for those who will try to turn back the clock on civil rights and people of color all over this country. We believe that everything is under attack right now. We are fighting not only on the local and state level, but on the national level, because we believe that Social Security should be protected. All of these are going to affect our state as people being laid off, cuts are being done to our state. The equity, these DEI programs are, to me, a diversion to make sure that the laws that are supposed to be passed are not passed. And we are being duped by people that has not the best interests of our country in their purview. We believe that education should be continued in this country. And that means in diversity, equity, and inclusion. We need to make sure that education is available to every child and to every person that want education. We believe that food should be available, healthy food for every individual so they can learn as much as possible what is going on. We believe that the media should be protected from the onslaught that is taking place by the people in the federal government. So we believe that everyone should have a voice, and the media is the fourth estate and should be protected as well. We believe that the veterans of this country who have served this country should be protected. Benefits should be protected. We believe that the farmers of this country should, have the opportunity to make sure their food is collected from the vines or the trees that it grows on, to make sure that it's get to the stores where people can have healthy food or enough food because of what's taking place. I believe that affirmative action should be reinstated all over the country. As an organization, we are fighting for that. As organizations, that we believe that working with the Equal Ground, which is one of the great organizations here in the state of Florida, we will be working closely with them. We have been and will continue to do so, because it is so important that we, as the people, and as people, regardless of the skin color, regardless of our ideology, this country is in trouble, and we need to fight, to struggle, to make sure that we bring it to some kind of normality. And that has not been the case. And so the deregulation programs that are being done away with, we believe that we have to make sure that we have good deregulation programs in place so that people will not have things that deterred us from making sure that we have good food, that we have good cars. All these regulation has helped to save America. And our environment, there are places in this country where our environment is in trouble, big time. And now we have seen that the environment cutbacks and the cuts to our environment and the laying off of people is leading to the outbreak of measles, because we don't have the proper people in place in the CDC anymore. The Food and Drug Administration has been, decimated because of layoffs, cutbacks, and all of that. So we will be in Tallahassee to make sure that we are protecting these rights. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important to this country, and it has made this country a better place to live than most places around the world. So we have to make sure that we are there to protect, to ensure, to push legislation that is for the benefit and good of this country. We have to be there to make sure that we, as Janice talked about, there to make sure that our voting rights are protected. We have to be there to make sure that we have the rights to continue to vote, and that we push for those who have been incarcerated, their rights are protected as much as possible. So on that, I'll turn it back over to Janice.
Thank you so much, Mr. McIntosh. We appreciate your advocacy. At this time, we will now hear from Ms. Carolina Wasmer, the Florida State Program Director for Poder Latinx. Carolina, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you, Hennessy. Carolina Wasmer, Florida State Program Director with Poder Latinx. Poder Latinx is a passionate civic and social justice organization committed to amplifying the political power of the Latinx community in battleground states such as Florida. Our mission is to ensure that the Latino, the Black and Brown community voices led are heard, and our conversations and decisions are brought to the table. Our country's democracy, and we tackle issues ranging from environmental, economic justice to immigrant justice and voting access. We are thrilled to participate in this year's third Lobby Day with Equal Ground, the Florida State Capitol. This is a vital legislative visit that enable our community to have their voices heard directly to the lawmakers. Coming together to advocate for issues that affect all Floridians is essential for creating lasting positive change. Tomorrow's constituents across the country will go from Central Florida all the way to Tallahassee, which is not an easy drive as it's 4 hours away. But we are going to be talking about bills that are very important. Civic engagement is driving the forces behind meaningful change. When we show up, we speak out, and we advocate for policies that reflect our values, we push the justice and build that communities we deserve. It isn't just about policy decisions, it's about making and shaping the future of our communities. Our voices, our stories, and our collective action empower tools to ensure that the laws passed truly reflect the needs of the people. Changes happens when we engage, because democracy works when we take part in it. Certain bills that we are looking out for as well are resilient buildings. We understand that the environment is very important and that having tax credits to rebuild our homes to make sure that they're energy efficient would really help reduce costs and make sure that we have accurate Florida Resilient Building Advisory Council put in would reflect this. It is important for us to also have paid leave. It is important under our economic justice that we fight for childcare paid leave, tax reform to make sure that our communities feel like they can live and have amplified lives and families and be able to take care of those families. Another topic that is really important to us is under notarios. It's our supporting SB 846 and HB 915. It's a legislative aim to combating fraud against notaries. This is something that is disclosed, that we want to disclose that if you are a notary, you are not an attorney, and that you should be able to disclose this and to make sure that our community understands the difference. Our community receives accurate and professional assistance. And we're also supporting with Equal Ground, the Harriet V. Moore Florida Voting Rights Act to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to vote. We understand that it should be an equal and that everybody should have the opportunity with language access and others to be able to participate and have access to voting. In a system where everyone is tackling these barriers and designed to suppress our voices, we must demand automatic voter registration to eliminate these obstacles, and I urge all states to represent and senators to support Florida's voting rights. Florida is deeply committed to ensuring that every eligible voter is registered. Many of our members are on the ground right now, helping people of all ages and backgrounds to register to vote. And we understand that their voices matter. More than 36 million Latinos are eligible to vote, making up 15% of all eligible voters. It is time for us to make the decision makers at the table, and we are profoundly affected by issues such as inflation, economic uncertainty, climate change, and healthcare rights. By voting, we can elect leaders who truly represent our community's values and care about our community and our neighborhoods and our environment. For the future of our community rests in our hands, but only if we rise to the occasion and cast our votes. Poder Latinx is committed to informing and empowering our communities, members, and laws and policies to impact our ability to participate in government. Every vote matters, every voice matters, and your rights matter. Participation matters. So I want to invite you and all your political power to visit Poder Latinx for more information on how you can join our movement. Thank you very much. And thank you, Equal Ground and Genesis, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Carolina. At this time, we will now hear from Isaac Martin. He is with Black Youth Vote, as well as the Florida Coalition on Black Civic Participation. Isaac, the floor is now yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for having me. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Good morning. I'm Isaac Martin, and I'm here today not just as a concerned citizen, but as a young Black man who lives in the reality that Senate Bill 420 and House Bill 1571 try to ignore. Rather than vocalize for individuals like myself or those within my community, they try to silence us. They neglect the magnitude of conversations regarding race, inequality, and injustice by deeming them too controversial to have. It is here and now I've come to declare we will not be silenced. These bills claim to protect people from divisive concepts. However, the only thing they protect is ignorance. They aim to stop schools, organizations, and workplaces from talking openly about race, history, or the systems that continue to hold Black people and other marginalized groups back. And please allow me to clarify, there is nothing divisive about teaching the truth. As a young Black man, I don't get to avoid conversations about race. It's my reality. As a child, we often played cops and robbers to pass time. I distinguished myself as a robber by wearing all black and arming myself with a stick. It took years for me to realize my naivety. I assumed the act of defying the law was spelled CRIME. However, when you're living the life of a young melanated man in America, it's spelled BLACK. I've been followed in stores. I've been reprimanded despite my lack of involvement, and unfortunately, I've been neglected in the educational field. Bills like this make it harder for schools to have conversations that could change this reality. They make it harder to create spaces where young Black men, such as myself, feel seen, heard, and valued. This is bigger than a classroom or a diversity training. These bills will diminish programs calibrated for the success of Black students. Mentorship programs, leadership workshops, mental health resources gone or reduced because someone might claim they're too focused on race. It protects no one. It helps no one. What it really does is push us back toward a time where Black voices were silenced, when our history was erased, and when people were too scared to speak out about injustice. I come before you today as a small part of something greater. I refuse to let this bill silence me or my community. If talking about racism makes you uncomfortable, imagine living in it. We can't legislate away the truth simply because it's heavy. True progression is only born when conversations such as these are faced head on. I'm calling on lawmakers to oppose Senate Bill 420 and House Bill 1571. Protect our right to speak, protect our right to learn, protect our right to be seen, because our stories matter, our history matters, and we aren't going anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isaac. We appreciate your comments. At this time, we will now hear from Ms. Quanda Pace, filling in for Ms. Nicole Dixon with the Real Women Radio. Quanda, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you and good morning. Thank you first to Equal Ground, Jasmine and Genesis for always partnering with us and thinking about us. This is our third year in partnership, and this is our second year doing a bus trip. So we're coming from Northwest Florida, Pensacola area, Fort Walton Beach area, and we're bringing over 40 people with us. So we are excited. And under the leadership of Ms. Nicole Dixon, our co-founder and president, we have Real Women Radio Foundation has registered over 20,000 people across Northwest Florida, all the way from Tallahassee, Pensacola, Fort Walton, Crestview, Okaloosa County. So we've been on the ground, as they say, boots on the ground, working hard. We are known for going places other people don't go or won't go. So we meet people where they are. We have just been doing this work since 2016. We have a diverse group coming with us tomorrow. We have leaders from the NAACP, Okaloosa branch, and other organizations. And we are excited about a new group that's coming with us. It is the Crestview Youth Academy, and they are young men that are in the DJJ system, which is the Department of Juvenile Justice. So they are 18 and under. It's about 8 of them coming, and we are just excited for them to see this. Like we pride ourselves on bringing people to the Capitol. Last year was my first time, so I was excited, and it was a phenomenal experience. So this year we're going to give them that experience, and they have their questions ready, and they're all excited. But Real Women Radio Foundation loves partnering with Equal Ground because we are like-minded organizations, where we are focusing on voters' rights and education. We have an initiative, Be the Change, vote, because we have to be the change. And we also have one, Rep Your City, where we get them registered, educated, and we get them to participate. So that is our passion. Voters' rights, returning citizens, youth empowerment and leadership, and continuing our legacy, because both me and Nicole are granddaughters of Black entrepreneurs and business owners. Our grandfathers had businesses in our communities, and so workforce development is very important to us as well. So of course, DEI is very important to us and one of our passions. We love helping small businesses, and we're just excited to be there tomorrow. We're going to be up bright and early, getting on this bus, making 3 stops, picking up people But we will be there, boots on the ground, ready to go. And thank you for this opportunity again.
Certainly, Quanda, thank you. And we certainly appreciate your partnership and your continued insistence on making sure that you stand with us for Equal Ground Day at the Capitol. So at this time, we're now going to have a video recording played by Ms. Cynthia Slater. She is the Civic Engagement Chair for the Florida State Conference of the NAACP. She was unable to join us live, but she wanted to record her video where she will talk about the importance of the Harry T. and Harry V. Moore Florida Voting Rights Act. So at this time, I'm going to share my screen and play that video.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Slater. I am the Civic Engagement Chair for the Florida State Conference of NAACP branches. I'm here to speak on behalf of the relationship of the NAACP Florida with Harry T. Moore. Harry T. Moore was one of the most important civil rights individuals in Florida. He and his wife, Harriet V. Moore, were active in the civil rights movement and paid the greatest price for the rights won for Black people when they were killed by Ku Klux Klan members in their home in 1951. By the time of their death, Florida had the highest number of registered Black voters, far more than any other Southern state. Harry, let me tell you a little bit about Harry T. Moore. He was born in the Florida Panhandle and was sent to live with his 3 aunts in Jacksonville, Florida, of which 2 are teachers. Upon graduating from high school, Harry became a 4th grade teacher at a Black elementary school in Brevard County. He met Harriet Vida Sims, a former school teacher who was selling life insurance in Brevard County. They married, and the couple went on to complete their college education at Bethune-Cookman College, a historically Black university in Daytona Beach, and eventually returned to teaching. The Moores founded a chapter of the NAACP in Brevard County in 1934. Initially, Harry kept his job as a teacher, working in an unpaid capacity for the NAACP for more than a decade. He fought tirelessly for equal rights for Black Floridians by investigating lynching, challenging barriers to voter registration, and advocating for equal pay for Black teachers in public schools despite segregation. The Moores, in due course, were fired from their teaching jobs because of their activism. It was at that point Harry T. Moore became a paid NAACP organizer. Ultimately, he was assigned the position of executive secretary for the Florida NAACP. While serving as the executive secretary of the Florida NAACP, membership throughout the state peaked at 10,000 in 63 branches. In 1937, with the help of the NAACP attorney Thurgood Marshall, Harry T. Moore filed the first lawsuit in the South with the challenge for Black and white teachers' salaries to be equal. The primary lawsuit failed in state court. However, it produced several other federal lawsuits that ultimately led to equal salaries in Florida. In 1944, the Supreme Court ruled that all white primary elections were unconstitutional. This ignited Harry T. Moore to register 31% of eligible Black voters, thus adding 116,000 members over 6 years to the Florida Democratic Party. In 1949, the Groveland rape case, Harry became deeply involved, where 4 young Black men were accused of raping a white woman. Following their arrest, a white mob of more than 400 stormed through Groveland's Black community. This led authorities to call out the National Guard to restore order. The all-white jury convicted the men and sentenced them to death. However, Harry led an effective campaign to overturn the wrongful convictions. The Supreme Court granted the appeal and ordered a new trial in 1951. However, while driving two of the defendants to a pretrial hearing, the town sheriff shot them, killing one and critically injuring another. Harry called for the sheriff's suspension and indictment for murder. On Christmas night, 1951, the Moores' 25th anniversary, a bomb exploded under their bed. The first ever NAACP official to be assassinated. Harry died on the way to the hospital, while Harriet died in the hospital 9 days later. Despite a national outcry and a massive FBI investigation, no one was arrested for the couple's killing. It took more than a half century before the case was reopened, and 4 Ku Klux Klan members were identified as being directly involved in the murders. It is because of the work of the Moores that the NAACP and organizations like Equal Ground and other organizations took steps to protect Floridians from unequal barriers to voting by pushing the passing of the Harry T. Moore and Harriet V. Moore Voting Rights Act. The NAACP Civic Engagement mission is to ensure political, social, and economic equality for all marginalized people. We work to protect and enhance voting rights, eliminate discrimination, and accelerate the well-being, education, and economic security of Black people and all persons of color. Thank you.
Okay, great. So thank you all again for joining us today for our virtual press conference. As was stated earlier, tomorrow today officially begins Equal Ground Day at the Capitol with our press conference, and then we're having a reception this evening. And then tomorrow will be a full day of advocacy here in Tallahassee at the state capitol, where we'll have a rally in support of the Florida VRA. And then we will go into the building to attend committee meetings, to meet with legislators, to drop off position papers on various issues. And we appreciate you for joining us for our kickoff. And so at this time, we're going to end our live, and if the reporters could stand by, but we're going to go ahead and end our